The death penalty is the punishment of execution for criminals who have committed capital offenses. This principle, a life for a life, revolves around the belief that it is valid to take the life of a person that has killed another. The death penalty dates back to the earliest societies, such as Mesopotamia, with the Code of Hammurabi. In the past, it had been utilized as a way to deter crime. Some of the forms of capital punishment seen today are death by firing squad, electric chair, hanging, and lethal injection. The murder rates of death penalty states are higher than the murder rates of non-death penalty states, and the gap has grown since 1990. This implies that the death penalty is not an effective deterrent to crime. The quality of representation a defendant is given determines whether or not they will receive the death penalty. Most are unable to afford their own attorneys, so they are appointed ones by the state. However, often these attorneys are overworked, underpaid, lack critical resources, and are either incompetent or inexperienced. The death penalty also causes frustration to the victims' families.
My name is Brent Tonic, and my brother John was murdered in 1998. You need that feeling of some kind of justice being done, something, some sort of closure, though there's never any real closure. And so anything that prolongs that process, that has it drag on and on, like a death penalty case, like the endless appeals, those kind of things just make that grieving process worse. They make it longer and more difficult for the families of the victims of murder.
Lethal injection is a commonly used execution method in the modern-day United States. Even though it is deemed to be quick and painless, there have been some instances where it contradicts that statement, such as the botched execution in Oklahoma.
It didn't appear that the drugs failed in this situation, but rather the process. The vein actually blew, meaning you weren't getting the drugs into the system the way they thought they were. What typically happens is that 3 drugs are given. There's an IV placed in each arm. One IV is used as a backup in case the other one fails. And the first drug that's given is usually something that just sedates somebody and makes them unaware of their surroundings. The second drug is essentially a paralytic. It's called vecuronium. It paralyzes the muscles in the body, including the diaphragm. That's the important point. If your diaphragm is paralyzed, you can no longer breathe. And the last drug is potassium chloride, which essentially causes cardiac arrest, stops the heart, and causes death. That's the way that it's supposed to work, and it's supposed to go in that order. In this case, it appears that the vein through which the medications were being given, it blew open, and as a result, instead of going into the blood, much of the medication went into the soft tissue. You still get some of the medication, but it looked like not enough. So it's an imperfect system, but if this process had worked, and someone was given a drug that rendered them completely unaware of what was happening, essentially unconscious, then it would have been a much more humane process. They wouldn't have felt the diaphragm paralyzing. They wouldn't have felt the heart going into cardiac arrest. That didn't happen in this situation. That's probably going to force us to revisit it altogether.
The death penalty is not an ethical means of punishment because it fails to act as a crime deterrent. The inadequate legal representation given to defendants who could possibly be innocent, the flaws within the lethal injection system, and the suffering and frustration that causes the victim's family. With such flaws present within the death penalty system, it just doesn't seem valid to maintain this type of punishment within society.